InkdMage here, and let's take a look at some minis from WizKids' upcoming series, Boneyard, part of their Icon of the Realm line of miniatures. Okay, I know you're seeing some of the big ones out of the gate, but let's just go with the closest at hand. And I want you to notice how all of these have clear bases, which is fantastic. So here we have the Elder Obliques, or Obliques, however you want to say it. I'm sure you could look it up on D&D Beyond and where they have the pronunciation and audio recordings telling you how to pronounce things. This is a really interesting mini, and I mean, I don't think you're fooling any of your players when it comes time to putting this on the table that this is just a normal person. But what a cool mini. Now, I know some of you know what this is, and this is from, I think, Mordenkainen's. To be honest with you, I haven't actually tooled through my Mordenkainen's or Volos a whole lot. That being said, I might use this as it is intended, or create my own reason for putting this on the table and stat block. I do that all the time, and maybe you do too. That's the joy of running the game the way you love it. Okay, let's move on and check out this. The Bone Naga, or it could be a skeletal snake, or whatever you want. A lot of times I have used a mini like this to where there's a pile of bones and they coalesce and come together and form a snake-like creature. So I actually haven't used a Bone Naga as a Bone Naga, but who knows, maybe I will in the future. Again, love the sculpt, love the energy in this thing. You could see it rising up to strike down players. What a great mini, and again, I'm really loving the fact that WizKids is now moving on entirely with clear bases. Check this guy out, an ogre zombie. Look at him with his rotting necrotic flesh. He has organs spilling out. What a nice paint job this is. You can see his nasty teeth. Imagine how terrible his breath smells. His blackened, decaying flesh in places. All the wounds. This is a really, really nice mini to throw down at your player table and terrify your players. Maybe they're not terrified, you know what? But they should be. I mean, if you really saw that, no matter how battle hardened you were, you might be scared. Check this thing out. This is a bone whelk. And I know, you know what? My sons loved this one when they saw it. They're like, oh my goodness, look at that. This big, nasty slug with a collection of bones on top as a shell. It looks like it's the jaw of some creature and the rib cage of a massive creature stuffed with lots of bones. This is a pretty cool mini as well. Again, you know, imagine this thing lurking around in an ancient crypt or dungeon, waiting to stumble upon some living heroes. All right. For those of you who love beholders and they're kind, the Death Kiss is one you're going to really appreciate. This one looks really cool. It really looks, you know, I love that they are making the sculpts look like the images in the books. I just, you know, the tentacles aren't just loosely dangling. They're not lank. They have movement in them. So you could almost imagine this thing floating towards you ominously. And again, I think the idea behind many of the minis in this series is to terrify you. And if we're being honest, I mean, this is a piece of plastic. Nothing really scary about the plastic, but you know, if you're really into the role playing, you can work yourself up. I mean, you should. You know, it adds a little something. All right, another large mini here. Check it out with these runes painted on. This is a Juvenile Kraken, a juvie. He's been pulled from the sea and he is being rehabilitated, maybe. I don't know. You know what? A regular Kraken could destroy your players, you know, if they're not sufficient enough levels. So maybe you want to throw one or two of these Juvenile Krakens at them. I mean, you know, and it's small, but I mean, let's compare it with that Death Knight. And speaking of the Death Knight, let's take a close look at him. What a cool mini. I love the helmet. Reminds me like the old Cylon Raiders. I like that this guy is a little bit different. No sword. He's got an axe in hand waiting to hack down your players and perhaps throw that at him. But it's okay because he has a great axe ready at hand to finish off any other players still lurking around his domain. Okay, let's move on. Let's see this guy. This is the Hill Giant Skeleton. And if you're familiar with WizKids line of minis, they've done the Frost Giant Skeleton and the Fire Giant Skeleton. So this is the next giant kind skeleton to add to the arsenal. Love the expression. You know, the previous couple giant skeletons, you know, were adorned more, and that made sense for the type of giants they are, but really just a ragged loincloth and a large club makes the most sense for this guy. Really, really nice mini. Great mini to have on your table to, you know, throw at your players. Maybe there is an old giant graveyard, and this guy is Guardian. Okay, speaking of large ones, check this out. This is, you know, first encountered this guy in Tomb of Annihilation. You'll notice he's a zombie T-Rex. And look at his rotting flesh and bone showing through. And in his mouth are zombies waiting to spill out. Now, these zombies can be removed. I decided to glue mine in. I know what you're thinking. InkdMage, are you the type of guy who glues your Legos together? No. I just didn't want to lose that, and you know, I really like the way it looks, and you know, no sense of not having it in there. And you know, worst case scenario, if I didn't want it to have zombies coming out of its mouth, I could ask my players to imagine that they're not there. They could humor me there. But again, what a nicely detailed mini. Really looks great. Okay, let's move on to the Rot Troll. He's covered in wounds. He looks like he's cackling, laughing at his own pain, waiting to inflict pain on you. He has, looks like necrotic energy coming up the back. Oh wait, I'm sorry, I slipped off there for a second. There we are. You can see that on the back. And you know, he's a pretty scary looking dude. Again, I really think the goal here was to frighten players. This is one of my favorite ones out of the series. I know you're thinking, Dan, why is a Spectre one of your favorites? Because I don't have a Spectre. So I really like having an actual Spectre. I've had to use other minis for Spectres. Imagine that. That's all right, though. This is a really terrific mini, and really one of the ones I'm most pleased about being able to add to my collection. This is another good one. I have mummies, but this Mummy Lord is terrific. He's got his arcane energy coming up, and look at, because he's got a clear base, you could have a sandy map or a dungeon map, and you'd see through to see the ground in which the magic is being summoned. I really like his Egyptian attire and rags. Mummies terrify players. At least they terrify my players. They don't want that curse of the mummy. All right, this is another one that I was really thrilled about having, the Demilich. I don't think there has been a Demilich mini before. So this is, let me get that in focus. Focus, come on. Is a really terrific mini. It's a small base, even though he's tiny. I think it's great because he's less likely to be lost. You know, he's being held aloft by this magical power. You could also use him in a pinch as a green skull. This is great. I can't remember if they went back. The Demilich goes back to either the Fiend Folio in first edition or Monster Manual 2. I have some friends, I'm sure, who could clear that up. This one is the Skeletal War Horse. Now check it out. Maybe you use it as a Skeletal War Horse, or maybe you are a necromancer who summons a phantom steed, and your phantom steed looks like a skeleton. right? Pretty cool. Lots of nice detail. Is in a very active pose. But again, what a nice paint job and sculpt. Let's go on to, what do we have here? A lich. Check this out. And cat hair, because I have cats and they drive me crazy. Take a look at this. They've done liches before, but it's nice to have a variety. Maybe in your campaign, your characters hunt liches, or maybe you've used liches in several campaigns and you just want to have a little variety so that you aren't always putting down the same mini. This one is dressed in cool attire and he's got arcane power flowing from one hand to the other. And check out that face. Let's get that in focus. Look at that face. That is really an excellent lich. I like that he's a little more, he's active. He's not just solemn and standing there. He's proactive and waiting and ready to defeat heroes coming to destroy his phylactery. So here we have a vampire. And a vampire, hey, okay, a vampire spellcaster. And it's a tiefling. Now, what's cool about this mini, besides the fact that she's floating and there's this necrotic energy coalescing behind her, what you have is a tiefling. This could be a tiefling warlock or tiefling sorcerer or mage that you use. Doesn't have to be used for a vampire. Also, just a great tiefling mini. I love the way she's floating up off the ground. It's really cool. You know, really gives you the sense of the magic flowing as she's drifting towards you. All right. Nothing undead about this guy, but this is actually the first D&D Atiug that I have. I have a Atiug that is from Pathfinder and Sewer Beast, but this one is fantastic. Looks just like the creature in the monster manual. The paint job is disgusting. This thing is, I love throwing these against my players. They really can provide a beatdown in the sewer or whatever trash pile or wherever really you want to put them. But the Atiug is definitely a great mini. Right. We've got the Skittering Horror. You know, this thing is huge and terrifying. You see how big it is. You know, you might even use this as like an Ankeg Brood Queen. Lots of detail. It is really rather horrific. Looks very alien. Let's see, we've got this thing dripping with jelly. No, it's supposed to be blood, right? Or ichor. But look at the detail, look at the faces. This thing is an abomination. What a fiendish creature, tethered by chains as it floats above the ground, dripping its ooze. This is really, look at that face. What a great face that is. I mean, it's not a face like, you don't want to look in the mirror and see that face, but I mean, you want to throw it down on your table and let your players see it. All right, here we have Atropol from Tomb of Annihilation. And you know what, I started to run Tomb of Annihilation. It just didn't catch hold for me. But that being said, you could still use this mini as it's intended, maybe just in a different campaign, or maybe you're running that campaign and then you can use it. So this is really massive. Let's get a regular sized mini just so you can see how massive that is. That thing is big and ugly. I mean, let's see. Look at that face. And the paint job makes him look wet and slimy. Really gross. Look at all those details. This thing would make a great bad guy for the end of any campaign. And here are the two premium figures that come with the Icons of the Realm series Boneyard. Here we have the blue Dracolich. Now you can see it's in flight, releasing its dreaded breath weapon. This thing is huge. Let's bring up a mini here. Let's show you the Death Knight next to it. I mean, that's really large. And you can see the inner ring represents a huge mini if you're using this as the adult Dracolich that it is. And maybe you call it a Dracolich. I fluctuate. But anyway, this outer ring, which, you know, is for stability, really puts this on par, and not just because of this, but because of the whole size of it, with any of the previously released gargantuan dragons that WizKids has done. I have, you know, the Pathfinder blue, red, green, and white dragon, and this thing would fit right in with them in terms of size. So if you wanted to use this for a gargantuan or an adult, you know, huge Dracolich, you could. I think I would use it as a gargantuan Dracolich. So take a look at that. So this mini has the lightning breath effect coming out. It has decaying, rotting flesh. You can see the bones coming through. And look, it looks like it's wearing a pair of fleshy boots. The detail is really tremendous on this. It looks fantastic. And if you're a fan of blue dragons like I am, this is an excellent addition to your collection. You could have your players face down a blue dragon, and if they handle it too easy, well, once it's dead, then have it rise up immediately as this and terrify them. Hey, check out, you can see through the wings, you can see the other miniatures. That's very cool. And actually, I like this one better because I'm a bigger fan of green dragons. And again, get a mini in there so you can see the size. While this is supposed to be an adult, this really could be an ancient. It could be a gargantuan. Look at the size. That's a little scarier to me than the blue Dracolich. That face. Look at. Really nice detail. You could also just use these as zombie dragons, right? They don't have to be Dracoliches. They could be zombie dragons. Really nice detail on this. And again, like the blue dragon, clear base, which again could be used for huge or gargantuan. This one may not be flying, but he is, or she is ready for any players. This is a very dynamic pose. It's not just lounging on any treasure pile. This one is ready for any players who are threatening its domain. Really nice. These are fantastic. So these are each going to be $69.99, and like the Icon of the Realm Boneyard booster packs, you can pre-order through DNDmini.com, or you could go to your local mom and pop shop. Look at them, savor that moment as you see them on the shelf before purchasing it. Overall, this is a really good series. Everybody loves to throw undead at their players when you're a dungeon master or a game master, whatever you want to call it, or maybe you're going to use it for wargaming. Whatever you're going to use these for, they're really a nice addition to your arsenal of miniatures, if indeed you can call them miniatures. Which one is your favorite? Do you like the green dragon, Dracolich, or do you like the blue Dracolich better? Let me know in the comments below. It's only fair. I told you what my favorite one was, and you know, that's not to disparage the blue Dracolich. I mean, I love them, and I love the blue dragons. I just happen to be a bigger fan of green dragons. So let me know, which one do you like best? All these terrific minis. This series comes out next month, and you can pre-order it through WizKids, or you can wait and go to your mom and pop shop, which is always nice to support local. So I hope you enjoyed this look. Comment below and let me know what your favorite one was.